You know how some people collect stamps, some collect classic cars, others hunt down vintage guitars. Well, my neighbor Madison Crowell collected something else entirely. Authority. Not the healthy, earned kind either. The kind where someone walks into a space and immediately starts assessing who they can supervise, correct, or quietly intimidate with the rules. The wild part? I didn't even realize I was on her radar at first. I live on a small ranch-style property, just outside a quiet lake community in northern Arizona. Nothing flashy, nothing upscale, just open land, trees, a few goats, a workshop, and a cabin where I work remotely. Over time, I slowly turned the place into what I jokingly called Redneck Smart Home Central. Cameras at the gates, automated fencing, smart irrigation, motion sensors near the barn, Wi-Fi boosters strong enough that I could take Zoom calls from the porch without dropping a signal. Not because I'm paranoid, because I hate micromanaging. I like systems that run themselves so I can wake up, make coffee, watch the sun come up, and not worry whether a gate was left open or the water's been running too long. Peace of mind. That was the whole goal. Then came Madison. Madison was the president of the Lakeshore Ridge HOA. Late 40s. Always dressed like she was on her way to a board meeting. Even when walking her dog. Clipboard permanently attached to her arm. Every sentence delivered like it was the opening line of a formal notice. She lived 2 properties down in one of those identical beige houses with a perfectly manicured lawn and decorative rocks that probably cost more than my truck. At first, all she did was stare. Every time she drove past my driveway, she'd slow down, look, squint, like she was mentally itemizing everything she saw. Cameras, antennas, solar panels, a repeater on the roof. I ignored it. I had work. I had animals. I had a teenage son, Lucas, who was already more chaos than any HOA could ever manage. Then the comments started. Oh, that equipment of yours is quite excessive, don't you think? You know, electromagnetic interference can affect neighbors. Some people are concerned about privacy. Some people always code for me. She'd corner me near the lake, by the mailbox, at community meetings. Always smiling, always polite. But there was a sharp edge under it, like a knife wrapped in ribbon. I nodded, smiled, and walked away because in my mind this was America, this was my land. And nothing I was doing broke a single rule. I checked twice, then 3 times. Then one afternoon, she crossed a line I didn't even know existed. I was fixing a fence post when Lucas came running from the house, laughing so hard he could barely breathe. Dad, you're not going to believe this. What? She's here. Who? Clipboard lady. Fantastic. I wiped my hands and walked up toward the porch. Madison was standing there, not knocking, just standing, like she owned it. When she saw me, her face lit up. Oh, perfect. I was just hoping to catch you. About what? She inhaled deeply. I need access to your Wi-Fi network. I blinked. Once. Twice. Excuse me? Your Wi-Fi, she repeated slowly, like I was the problem. It has excellent coverage. It reaches areas of the lake where residents struggle with connectivity. It would benefit the community if you shared it. Lucas snorted behind me. I shot him a warning look. She ignored him. I've had multiple complaints, she continued. And as HOA president, it's my responsibility to ensure equitable access to resources. Resources like my internet bill? I asked. Madison, I said carefully, it's private. I pay for it. Yes, but... No, Lucas cut in. Why would we give you access? It's literally our network on our property. Her smile twitched for half a second before snapping back, tighter than before. I'm not asking, she said. I'm suggesting what's best for everyone. That sounded a lot like asking, Lucas replied. Bad move. Her tone flipped instantly. This is an emergency situation. An emergency? Yes. People rely on connectivity, medical devices, remote work. You've been calling it an emergency for 6 months, Lucas said. Silence. Then she leaned closer to the porch railing. I'd hate for this to become a compliance issue. There it was, the threat wrapped in polite language. Something clicked in my head. Madison, I said, This conversation is over. Her eyes hardened. This isn't finished. And she walked away. From that day forward, things escalated fast. She started showing up unannounced, standing at the edge of my driveway, calling out, "Hello? I need to connect. I'm having signal problems. This is urgent." Sometimes at 7 in the morning, sometimes at sunset. Once, I swear, she showed up in slippers. Neighbors slowed down, watched, whispered. Lucas finally had enough. One night, he sat at the kitchen table with his laptop open, fingers flying, jaw clenched. "She's not going to stop, Dad." "I know, so let me handle it." I raised an eyebrow. "Define handle." He grinned, educationally. That's when I should have worried. Instead, I trusted him. Over the next 2 days, he went full mad scientist, rerouted the network through a VPN, built a firewall, filtered MAC addresses, installed monitoring software, then added the finishing touch, a custom alert screen. Big red letters, access denied, trespasser detected, property owner notified. He showed it to me like an artist unveiling a masterpiece. Too much. I asked, smiling. She asked for it. The next morning, I was on the porch with my coffee when I heard it. A sharp, frustrated gasp. Then another. Then what? Madison was standing near the fence, staring at her tablet like it had personally betrayed her. She tapped the screen. Red warning. Tapped again. Same result. Pulled out her phone. Identical message. Her face drained pale, then flushed red, then settled into pure fury. She marched toward my property like she was charging a battlefield. And I knew, right then, whatever peace I'd had before was officially gone. Before I tell you what happened next, let me pause, because this is where a lot of people watching will be thinking, wait, can she actually do that? Can an HOA president really demand your Wi-Fi? Could this turn into a legal nightmare? Short answer, no. And she knew that. HOAs exist to manage shared spaces, enforce community rules, and protect property values, landscaping standards, noise complaints, parking regulations, that kind of thing. Not your personal utilities, not your private internet service, not equipment you pay for every month. Your Wi-Fi is legally treated like a personal utility, no different than electricity inside your house, your water heater, or your security system. From a legal standpoint, pressuring or attempting to force someone to share private network access without consent can cross into unauthorized access and harassment, especially when there's a documented pattern. Repeated contact, intimidation, implied threats. And that matters, because Madison wasn't just being annoying, she was applying pressure. This is a classic tactic used by control-oriented people. Start small, normalize intrusion, repeat emergencies, wrap demands in community language. It's for everyone. It's about safety. It's temporary, but it's never temporary. It's about power. Testing how far they can push before you push back. Give them an inch, and they start measuring for a mile. Lucas understood that instinctively. He documented every access attempt, every timestamp, every location ping. He wasn't being petty. He was protecting us, quietly building a record. Because in HOA disputes, documentation is everything. Not emotions, not stories, not he said, she said. Logs, proof, patterns. That's what wins. And whether Madison realized it or not, the moment she kept trying to force her way into our network, she stopped crossing social boundaries and stepped straight into legal territory. And she had no idea how far she'd already crossed a line. There she was at the fence line, tablet clenched in one hand, phone in the other, jaw locked so tight it looked like her teeth might shatter, staring at that red warning screen like it had personally insulted her entire family tree. I took another slow sip of my coffee, not because I was trying to make a point. Okay, maybe a little. Lucas stood behind me in the doorway, arms folded, doing a terrible job of hiding his grin. Madison looked up and locked eyes with me. You need to fix this. Right now. No. Good morning. No, please. Straight to command mode. Fix what? I asked. This, she snapped, thrusting the tablet toward me like evidence in a courtroom drama. Your system is hacking my devices. I leaned in and looked. Red screen. Access denied. Trespasser detected. Property owner notified. Clean. Simple. Elegant. Beautiful, huh? I said, looks like it's working. Her face detonated. What? You're blocking me on purpose. Lucas finally chimed in. Well, yeah. She whipped around on him. You did this. He shrugged. Technically, you did. You kept trying to log into something that wasn't yours. This is harassment, she shouted. This is malicious interference. By then, 2 neighbors had stopped mid-walk. A car slowed to a crawl. Phones came out. The audience had arrived. I stepped forward. Madison, I said calmly, you've been attempting to access our private network without permission. Every attempt is logged. Time, location, device ID. Her eyes flickered for half a second. Fear, then pride slammed back into place. You can't record me without my consent. We're recording access to our equipment. I replied, on our property. Big difference. She opened her mouth, closed it, opened again. You're abusing technology to intimidate me. Lucas laughed softly, not mocking, just amazed. Ma'am, he said, you've been intimidating us for months. That landed. A couple neighbors nodded. Someone whispered. I watched realization spread across her face in real time. She wasn't running the room anymore. So she reached for the nuclear option. I'll report this to the board. Please do, I said. Good, she snapped. Because you're violating community harmony. And you're violating our boundaries. I replied. Silence. She stood there breathing hard, gripping her tablet like a riot shield. Then she turned and stormed off. No last word. No dramatic threat. Just gone. For about a week, things were quiet. Unnaturally quiet. Then the alert started again. Ping, ping, ping. Different times. Different locations. Same devices. Sometimes from her driveway. Sometimes near the lake. Once from the community pool. Every attempt got blocked. Every attempt got logged. Every attempt triggered the automated message. Do not attempt unauthorized access. Property owner notified. Lucas programmed it in a polite robot voice, which somehow made it even funnier. She tried everything. Restarting devices. Switching hotspots. Borrowing her sister's tablet. Nothing worked. Our firewall recognized the behavior patterns and locked her out faster each time. Watching it was like seeing someone punch a brick wall over and over, waiting for it to apologize. Then came the HOA meeting. Oh boy, she showed up armed. Folders, printouts, highlighted passages, a full PowerPoint presentation. I'm not exaggerating. She stood at the front and launched into a 20-minute monologue about digital aggression and hostile infrastructure. People blinked, shifted in their chairs, tried to follow along. Finally, the treasurer raised her hand. Madison, you say you're upset because you can't use his Wi-Fi. Dead silence. Madison froze. It's more complicated than that. No, it's not, someone muttered. I calmly pulled out my phone and opened the logs. Dates, times, attempt counts, automated warnings. Weeks of clean, boring, undeniable evidence. I never contacted her. I said evenly, she contacted us. Repeatedly. The board stared at the screen, then at her, then back at the screen. That was it. Game over. The president of the HOA had just been publicly caught attempting repeated digital trespass onto a neighbor's private property, and there was no clipboard in the world big enough to write her way out of that. Repeatedly, after being told no, the board issued her a formal warning, mandated mediation training, and quietly removed her from leadership at the next election cycle. After that, she vanished. No more surprise driveway visits. No more emergency connectivity crises. No more clipboard patrols. Occasionally, I'd see her car pass by, windows rolled up, eyes fixed straight ahead, like I didn't exist at all. And honestly, that was the best outcome I could have asked for. No lawsuits, no shouting matches, no restraining orders, just peace. Technology had done what arguments never could. It created a boundary she physically couldn't cross. And eventually, she respected it. Now, when I sit on my porch in the evenings, coffee in one hand, phone in the other, watching the sky fade into orange over the lake. I sometimes think about how strange the whole thing really was. Not dramatic in a movie sense. No police sirens. No courtroom scenes. No viral meltdown clips. Just one person slowly realizing that the world doesn't bend simply because she wants it to. And honestly, that realization hurts more than any punishment ever could. Because here's the truth. Madison wasn't evil. She wasn't some cartoon villain twirling a mustache. She was a person who'd grown used to being listened to, used to being obeyed, used to walking into rooms and watching everyone subtly adjust themselves around her. And when she finally ran into someone who didn't, she panicked. She escalated. She tried to force control instead of earning respect. That pattern shows up everywhere. HOAs, workplaces, families, friend groups, anywhere there's even a sliver of authority. And that's where the real lesson lives. Boundaries only work if you're willing to enforce them. Not loudly, not aggressively, not with insults or theatrics, but consistently, calmly, with receipts. Because notice what actually stopped her. Not my anger, not Lucas's sarcasm, not community gossip. Documentation did. Structure did. Clear systems did. From a legal standpoint, what protected us wasn't just being right. It was being prepared, knowing the rules, following them, recording everything. Most people don't lose conflicts because they're wrong. They lose because they're sloppy. They don't save emails. They don't screenshot messages. They don't write things down. So when situations escalate, they have nothing, and that's when bullies win. There's another layer to this. 2. A psychological trap. Believing that being nice means being available. A lot of us were raised to avoid conflict, to stay agreeable, to not rock the boat. So when someone nudges past a boundary, you tell yourself, it's just this once. It's not worth the drama. I'll deal with it later. Later turns into never, and never turns into resentment. Lucas taught me something through all of this. He didn't match her energy. He didn't insult her. He didn't try to embarrass her. He built a system, a quiet, invisible wall, and let her run into it herself over and over until she understood. That's emotional maturity. That's real confidence. You don't need to dominate people. You just need to protect your space. And here's something else I learned. Technology isn't about being flashy. It's about leverage. When used ethically, it levels a playing field. It gives regular people tools to defend themselves without becoming something ugly, without turning into the villain. We didn't win because we were smarter. We won because we were disciplined. We stayed calm. We stayed documented. We stayed legal. And that made all the difference. So if you're watching this right now and you're dealing with someone who keeps crossing your lines, a neighbor, a co-worker, a family member, an HOA, don't explode. Don't implode. Build structure. Create records. Learn the rules. Protect your peace. Because peace isn't passive. It's something you actively maintain. And I'm curious, have you ever dealt with someone who thought your boundaries were optional? Someone who kept pushing until you finally had to draw a line? Drop your story in the comments. I read them, all of them. And sometimes they remind me this was never just about Wi-Fi. It was about learning at any age that your space matters, your time matters, your privacy matters. And you never have to apologize for defending it.